Welcome, 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 everybody. Thrilled to have you here. My name is Robbie Samuels, and I have had the distinct pleasure of witnessing Stacey do an amazing book launch, which wouldn't have been possible without many of the people here in this room and lots even beyond who helped her, who encouraged her, who followed through with their best intentions around leaving her review and spreading the word. It's been phenomenal. So, in a moment, you're going to hear directly from Stacey, the author, Stacey, maybe the first to call you that, sharing with you some of the highlights from this launch. You're also going to hear from a few people who've had the pleasure of working with her in various capacities, so you can learn how she can help you beyond the book and what's coming next in her work as well. We'll also have some prizes to give away. Lots of fun in store. Thanks for being here. If you're able to have your cameras on, it helps keep us, engaged as presenters. So that's lovely and wonderful. If not, we totally understand. If you need captions to kind of follow along a little more easily, you can always hit the CC button on the bottom of your screen and you'll see the subtitles and captions showing up here. And if you would like to ask a question at any point, that will later we'll have some Q&A time at the top of the 60 minutes we have together, then please write the word question in all caps followed by your question in chat so I can keep track of them and then I'll save them to be asking. So we'll get to the questions in about an hour. But until then, stick around. We've got a good program planned for you. Without any further delay, here is your author, Stacey Larsen.
Hey, everybody. I am so glad you're here with me. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And those of you who I haven't met yet, who heard from someone to come today, welcome. I am so glad that you are here. I am browsing through all these faces here and I am just so touched and so honored and just so thrilled that you are here to celebrate with me. Just so amazing. I want to do some shout outs and thank yous right off the top because I could not have done this without all of you and some pretty important people behind the scenes. One of which is Lynn Eloff, who runs the Book to Business team. She's my publisher, and she and her team, Kate Macklid and Rhiannon Dixon, are amazing. The cover of the book, Rhiannon did. Kate was my editor extraordinaire. And I'll talk to you later about how Lynn helped me as well. Amazing humans. We've got Robbie, of course. Robbie is not only the MC extraordinaire for today, this man has held me through the process, and his book launch strategies rock, people. So if you're writing a book, he's the guy to talk to. Marie and Shannon are here on the call, and I have to tell you, that good friend of mine and that sister of mine listened to me ad nauseum for the last 5 months talk about this book, and they never got sick of me. They never just bailed. So, hey, thank you. Thank you for all of your support. And every single person on the book launch team. It's been just so fabulous to know and be held and be cheered on. People who are willing to read and engage and share their reactions with me and help me learn from you as well. And catching those few typos that made it through the book launch process somehow too. We got those before it went on Amazon. That's important. Absolutely, absolutely amazing. I've got some highlights to share with you that really made this go so well. 130 people joined this book launch team. 130 people working behind the scenes here. And when we had the May 21st call, where I introduced my framework and really talked to kick off the book launch team, 59 people attended that call. And it was so energizing. It really helped me get through the last phase of getting the book launched and getting the process in place. And it's on that call that I talked about the framework and holding the frame. So if you missed that call or if you've joined this later, we'll be sending out the link where you can watch or rewatch that call from May 21st and join in the fun there and learn about aspects behind Hold the Frame. I received 65 reviews so far from people, and not everybody's on Amazon, you know, so some of them are on Goodreads, some of them are on Amazon, some are on my website. And so that's just the beginning. We've got 130 people on this book launch team. I can't wait to see where we get to. As of today, on Amazon, 55. 55 reviews are live and 98 sales. And not only that, the engagement that you have had has really already started to pay off. I have 2 speaking engagements to talk about this book, and it's because of you. Because people talk to people who called me to say, hey, I want you to speak about your book with our company at our conference. And we already have received a #1 bestseller from Amazon in communication and management. And #1 new release in business leadership training. #1 new release in business project management. #1 hot new release in 2-hour business and money short reads. And #1 new release in business health and stress. Pretty awesome. Pretty awesome, everybody. Thank you. Thank you for getting us here.
Wow. I mean, stellar numbers all around. To get 50% of your launch team, 130 people already sent in the review, and it was in this like little bit of time. It's not too late to send in a review, by the way, whether you've already cracked open the book or you're inspired by what happened today or what you saw at the earlier event she held, which we will get the link out to you after this event. I wanted to ask you a little bit about your journey as an author and what led to you writing a book, because writing a book's not easy. So what was the
Yeah.
inspiration that started you down this path?
Well, you know, Robbie, it's not easy, especially when you're coming off of PTSD from 2 years of writing a doctoral dissertation years ago and kind of feeling like, I don't know. I don't know if I want to jump into this book thing. But I was looking around and it feels like we know we're all in busy, right? We're in busy and there's busyness and we talk about it a lot. We talk about balance a lot. It's not changing. And it feels like it's only getting worse. And as I looked around, I was noticing that it's almost like when I say in the book, we're in a dance of resignation in leadership today. A dance of resignation where we think if only the other person would change. If only we could find the organization that has the culture that we want, the people that we want. If only that, then our back-to-back meetings will go away and we'll actually be able to pee in between meetings and we'll not have the drama and the emotion and the missed deadlines and all the things. We're in this resignation that people won't change and that it is the way it is. And I got to this point in my career where I could see the pattern, feels like it's even getting worse, and traditional learning and development isn't fixing it. Maybe it's my job to tell people what I've learned and how I've helped people break that pattern, how I've helped leadership still feel energizing to me after all these years being in it. And how it's not negative for me and it's not drudgery. So how do I help people suffer less get there sooner and know what I know. That's what I was thinking when I was getting ready to write the book.
It's challenging to come from a place where, you've lived through this and you're having that sort of, like you said, that PTSD response. And then you're like, I'm committed to sharing what I've learned. I'm going to create this book. I want to get this positive momentum going. Could you share a memorable or maybe a challenging experience during the writing process? And in particular, how did you overcome that challenge or that experience?
Sure. I mean, it was starting. Starting was the hardest thing. I have thought about it, talked about it, dreamt of it for a really long time, and starting was the hardest. And everybody on this call who knows me, who's been in my classes, who's done coaching with me, you know that I can talk as much as anybody else. I can get excited and I can talk, but dialogue is my favorite, right? I talk in response to what is going on for other people. I usually don't just talk to talk. And so for me to write a whole book, what is it, 117 pages? To write a whole book, all coming from me, felt very one sided. So the biggest challenge for me was, how do I make it not feel that way so I could authentically try to have a conversation with people? And how do I include enough stories so that there is kind of a back and forth between what I'm saying and what a client's experience is? And I think the biggest thing that helped me get through that is Lynn's integrity model. So in Book to Business, Lynn does this integrity model, and she has templates to help you start writing. And those templates helped me not feel like I had to write the book right away. I started writing down stories and I started writing down what I wanted to say. And it really helped me take things and synthesize it and create the 4-step framework and really focus in on a process that leaders need to go through in the 4 steps of the dance so that it's manageable. The thing that I told Lynn when I first started writing is, I don't want to add more to leaders' plate. I do not want to add more. There is not one more thing they can take or do. This has to lighten their load. And when I found that and found my voice, then I could really get rolling.
So someone in chat just shared that your book reads like a conversation. So I think you did a really nice job through the storytelling, um, illustrating your own voice in it. It was very inviting. It was easy to read and reflect. And I like really appreciate that because I know it's not easy to do when you're like, just do these things, but that's not memorable for people. What are some of the key messages that you hope readers will take away from this book?
Yeah, I think there's two. The first one, I always start, most people who know me really, really well know me. I always start with the not. Um, Leadership is not doing. It's not doing. It's not a leader doing things. It's not getting it right. And even though we all want to be a good leader, it's not about being a good leader because that's the one way piece. And the thing that I realized as I wrote is what I really believe about leadership is it is not about the leader. It's not about getting the other person anywhere. That's not how a dancing partner works. A dancing partner dances with the other person and is their partner, and they decide together where they're going, which takes the onus off of the leader. We don't have to work so hard, is in essence the first lesson. And then secondly, I really hope everybody takes away that you can dance with any partner. There's no one who you're probably not already dancing with. You might be stepping on each other's feet. You might be Someone might be fighting to go sit on the side for a while and you're dragging them back onto the floor, or they're dragging you. But even if you think they're not capable, you can dance with them. Even if you think you can't dance, you can dance with them. Um, all you need is these 4 steps, and to do them over and over and over again, and to be in a community of people who are doing it too, so that we can practice and practice and practice and practice. We can.
This framework, this analogy in particular, I love how you just keep carrying the analogy through the whole, stepping on each other's toes, being dragged onto the dance floor when you really want to be sitting on the sidelines. Like, it's a great analogy because it really is a conversation, or even a conflict, a communication of any kind. It is a back and forth, a give and take. And that visual that you give to us, so you've alluded in your remarks today about this 4-step process for authentic edge leadership. Could you dig a little bit deeper into that framework for us, so that those of us who haven't yet opened the book can walk away with a little bit more knowledge around it?
Absolutely. So, step 1, I call feeling your feet. So, when you think of these 4 steps, they're basically me taking a whole bunch of concepts that are out there in leadership already and putting them into 4 categories. And it's important that they're in the order they're in, because that's where we get messed up. So, the first category is feel your feet. So, if you think of things in leadership like be present, be vulnerable, check your inner critic, know your mindset, anything in that domain where we're becoming aware of ourselves and we're becoming open and we're becoming grounded, that's step 1. Step 1 is, who are you as the dancer? You need to be the dancer who's the healthy version of you, not the reaction mode version of you. Anyone ever been there where you catch yourself in this reaction mode moment and you go, ooh, I don't know if I did the right leadership thing right there, because that wasn't really me. That was angry me having no patience, right? That's feel your feet. And so there's a lot of ways to come after it, but we have to have a practice for getting grounded as a leader to be emotionally intelligent. And that's all really emotional intelligence really is catching ourselves and grounding ourselves, catching ourselves and grounding ourselves over and over and over and over and over again. We never get perfect at it. It's just not how it works. And then once we have that going, we need a system or a structure. So people who've ever heard me talk about the 4 quadrants, I talked about that for years and years and years, Ken Wilber's work. We need to have habits and systems so that we don't stray from or have to spend so much energy on what we're trying to do. It needs to be easy to do and become automatic. And that's why we need systems. So that's step 2, hold the frame. We have to have a habit of having conversations or check-ins with people that becomes this space where we coach them, where we talk about emotions, where we talk about things, where we have harder conversations, and the frame holds it together so that we can dance anywhere and move forward. And it's all about creating that frame and that structure so that we don't have to keep coming at it. And then step 3, we can connect with people within that frame. And connection doesn't have to be small talk or knowing their personal business. It can be calibrating on a deeper level and being able to admit to each other, yeah, I don't know the answer. Let's find it together. What I'm not going to make that deadline. What should we do about it? And being able to have more of those look behind the facade or the mask of what people put on when they're trying to manage their impressions. How do we actually calibrate with each other, not just connect with each other? And then we start to understand each other better. because we never really know what's happening with someone else unless we can have a conversation and learn what's happening behind. And then lastly, it's about choosing to take the lead in little moments over and over and over and over again. This is not about you're a leader or you're not. This is about every single day. There's an opportunity, probably 100 times a day, to lead or to not. Someone says a negative joke in a meeting that's actually in poor taste. Do you take the lead or do you let it go by? You know, we have all of these times where we can choose or not. And being a good leader doesn't mean you choose it every time. It means you're intentional. And it means that you don't shy away from it. So with those 4 steps over and over and over again, we create healthy feedback loops. We don't have to do or rehearse difficult conversations. We get to empower people, coach people, all the things we want to do, but we keep trying to do it from a place of doing, and it's simply impossible.
I'm seeing a lot of nods. I was just scrolling through as you were speaking. First of all, appreciate so many of you have your cameras on so we see those nods. It's very encouraging to see her messages landing, it's resonating. In fact, take a moment in chat and let us know like what is popping out from everything she's just shared. While they're doing that, I know that we work together on you creating some bonus content, and I'm going to put information in the chat again, how to get access to the bonus content as well as the book if you haven't already gotten the book. But tell us a little bit about these resources you've developed that will help them take action from these strategies that are in the book.
Absolutely. So when I first started writing and I had my very first draft done, now first is probably a misnomer because this is probably my 7th draft. But anyway, the first draft that was visible to other people, right? I showed it to a few people, and one person was very nervous, but
The sub is yours, the rap is his.
Karen, I think you're on live. And so the feedback I got was, I'm reading this and I need questions. I need questions to go deeper because I want to do something with this and I don't know what this is. And so at that point, we talked about putting them in the book, and then we changed our minds and decided to make it bonus content so that people can interact with what's in the book and get the stories and read it quickly and the experience, and then the bonus content can change. So when you go to my website with the title of the book, you can get to the bonus content, and there is a whole list of discussion questions that you can self-reflect on that go along with each chapter. The idea is you can get them before you read and have them right alongside you, or you can have them afterwards. And there's another version of that that you can use as a book club discussion. And there's exercises there, some of which come out of the book. And there's also a quiz. I took all 4 stages or all 4 steps in the process and made a quiz so that people could see, well, where am I? Where do I have the opportunity, the biggest opportunity for me to grow? What should I talk to Stacey or someone about that might help me on my growth journey using the framework? And so that's in there too. But my plan is that I'm going to update these and add things to it every month going forward. And so if you've already downloaded them, make sure you come back and grab the new ones. Everybody on my book launch list will get a little note when they get updated, so you can come back and get new ones.
I think that's really brilliant because a book is only, first of all, okay, let's all be honest for a second, particularly when it's a Kindle book. It's really easy to download a Kindle book and not open it. We all have the proverbial stack of books to read, right? That, next to our bed, except now it's on a Kindle list. So for those of you who actually took the time to read the book, and now you're realizing if you haven't, you should be, that's good on you because the information will not be useful to you through osmosis. Like you're going to have to actually read it. But then to have these materials from the author to help you take next steps, to share it with others, to be in dialogue with others about how to become a better leader. Because it's about becoming a better leader, right? Because we're not just, it's not like it's not like a stasis that we just leave at. We like continue to grow if we make the effort. Speaking of the way that you make the effort, I'd love for you to now introduce your first guest speaker so we can hear a little bit about what it's like to work with you.
Absolutely. I'm excited. With us is Nicole Fendi. Now, I met Nicole in 2013. I might have even met her before then, but in 2013, she seriously started to work with me and help me raise my fees to earn what I'm worth. And she has been with me ever since as a friend and as a colleague and as someone I look to help me get Authentic Edge to be the business that it is today. And she tells me pretty much every week that she uses my tools and techniques in daily interactions all the time. So I asked her to come and share a story, an example or two with you of how she does that. Welcome, Nicole.
Hi, thank you so much, Stacey. And I can't believe we've known each other that long. I'm thankful for it. I feel like I've been here since before the beginning, right? And seeing the book codify what I've been learning from you is awesome because it's easy to share and communicate now. For me, I had a recent experience which I was telling Stacey about. I have a lot of strong opinions. I'm not afraid to say that, and I find at times it was hard. I want the statement, you want others to change. You don't want to have to change, right? So taking that, and I was on a podcast. I do board game design. I love doing it. Podcast called Building the Game. And myself and the host, had very different feelings about profit and pricing and things like that. And I was thinking about Stacey's analogy, this idea of in a dance, you're not trying to force someone, like you don't shove your dance partner, you feel them, you hear them, you are genuinely in the moment with them. And in that moment, you're really feeling them. You're not only grounded yourself, you're grounded in that connection. And that dance metaphor really helped me. So even though in the end, Jason, the podcast host, and I didn't agree on everything, in fact, we had a very pleasant discussion about the difference of opinions. And afterwards, he thanked me and said, it's nice to have a guest where we can disagree and have this wonderful conversation on the merits and still be friends afterwards. Um, and what was even greater was, and I was telling Stacey this, I was so excited, in his Discord group afterwards, his community, that was the first comment so many people made. It was so nice to see two people who were passionate, had strong opinions, and yet had this wonderful discussion that everyone left feeling positive about. And that dance framework sticks in my mind. Thank you so much, Stacey. And I can't wait to see the world adopt it because we need it. And just the fact that everyone noticed it and commented on it to me says how necessary this is for the world. So thank you for letting me be a part of today.
I love that, Nicole. Thank you so much for sharing. Another person that I want to introduce you to is Megan Klein. Now, Megan is on her way to vacation right now. So she's somewhere in the skies flying, but she sent along a video for us. And now you need to know Megan is the HR director at Hunt Electric, which is one of my longest standing, most beloved clients on the planet. I love their values. Their dedicated and talented people are like my favorites. And it's absolutely amazing to see and celebrate the growth in the leaders and the company over the past 7 or 8 years that we've worked together. And I invited Megan to tell us the impact that she's seen at Hunt with some of the work we've done together.
Hi, everyone. I'm Megan Klein. Although I would love to be at the live party, I didn't want a scheduling conflict to make me completely miss out on the launch of Stacey's new book, Reframing the Leadership Dance. I've had the privilege of working with Stacey over the last 6 years as she coached other leaders within our organization, as well as when I began moving into a leadership role. And I can say from within our organization, she has absolutely helped our leaders create and practice their own dance so that they can reach their own full potential. And these leaders have, I would say, become more self-aware, more collaborative, more well-rounded as a leader within our company. And I think this has led to better strategic planning, better development of their own teams and their own people, as well as just a better understanding and maybe more grace that they're giving others within the organization. For me, I would say her team and Stacey really helped me move from that individual contributor role to a people leader role. And we identified and I really identified the skill set, the new skill set for me that was needed for future success, because it did look quite a bit different than the previous skill set that I was using for success factors. And somehow Stacey's really able to kind of reduce the noise and create some of the chaos when working with leaders. And she's able to help pinpoint the focus areas and the action items that seem reasonable and attainable without making you feel like you're overwhelmed and that there's this feeling of having to completely change who you are or do a 180 just so that you can move into that leadership role. It really feels true to who you are when working with her. And then lastly, I guess I really do love that Stacey doesn't operate in a one-size-fits-all mindset. She partners with the people that she's working with to identify what they need as an individual or what their groups and their teams need. And she's going to cater those coaching and partnership with you so that you can get results and also best utilize the investment from, the companies that they're making within their people. I definitely can say that she has had a positive impact on our own culture by helping us develop those leaders into strong leaders. And that has definitely impacted the way that our employees feel by having empowered employees through strong leadership. So win-win for everyone. These are all really the reasons why I truly enjoy working and partnering with Stacey. I'm so excited for her to launch this new book and share all of this information with you, all of you. So congratulations, Stacey. I'm so excited for you.
I love it. Megan is so awesome. She talked about this idea of it not being so overwhelming. And one of my secrets to doing this is that we've got to look at just one or two key habits. And how do we take leadership competencies and put them into habits that can knock 10 competencies down in one blow rather than trying to do everything from scratch? And that's what I did in creating a 6-week leadership lab called the Check-In Challenge. I developed this about a year ago, and I've run it several times. And one of the people who went through that 6-week check-in challenge is Kate Southward. Now, Kate joined the check-in challenge, and she is a continuous learner, was what has always been, and really enjoyed it. But she got some pretty amazing results, as did most people who were in the check-in challenge. This whole idea of dancing with anyone. A lot of the people who came to the challenge were having a very difficult step on your toes dance, or no dance at all, feeling like they were totally separate and unaligned with someone. And by the end, it was very different. And Kate is here via video to share with you, as a manager, what she experienced in the check-in challenge in the most recent run.
Hi, everybody. I'm Kate Southwick, and I'm a manager that took Stacey's Check-In Challenge Lab. I have noticed that it's easy to get an all or nothing thinking of an employee. Either they're too negative or they're not producing. And I took her check-in challenge and noticed that it got me out of judgment. It got me focused on specific observations rather than the judgments. And the dashboard tool that she teaches gave me the structure that it takes to get the emotion out of the conversation when you have something difficult to say. Found that really helpful. It allows that dance that she talks about in her book to happen, and for both of us to be able to then work toward success. I would say if you're considering taking her check-in challenge lab, just to keep an open mind, and you'll be glad you did. So congratulations on your book launch, Stacey. I wish you all the best, and I'm sorry I couldn't be there in person today. Thank you.
Kate talked about keep an open mind. And with that, I'd like to introduce Wendy Richter. Wendy is a VP of Finance who also attended the check-in challenge. And what I love about Wendy is she and I have these really honest, open conversations. And Wendy's willing to say, hey, here's what's going on for me. And I couldn't appreciate that more. Wendy had a few doubts at the start of the check-in challenge. And I think leaders that take the challenge and read the book, because we're in this dance of resignation, they tend to have those feelings, those doubts. Only Wendy was brave enough to say it out loud. So I asked her to come here and share with you the doubts that she had in working with some of the concepts in the book and what happened in her experience.
I'm starting to think I'm the only one at Hunt Electric that might not be on vacation. So here we go. So I did have doubts, and not because I don't want to learn things and change my leadership style and invest in myself, but I'm one of the people, many of you are on the call, that I just sometimes feel like I don't have time for that. And then some of my really successful leaders also feel like they don't have time for that. So it's like a domino effect, right? So my first doubt was, I'm too busy to give it my all, so maybe I shouldn't try. But I got over that one pretty quickly. And then my doubts switched to, in the check-in challenge, first step might be to pick a person, just start somewhere, right? Like Stacey said, just start. So I picked a person who is super great at her job. And I tended to skip check-ins with her because she's independent. She doesn't like to be micromanaged. She raises her hand when there's a problem. So therefore, maybe she would go to the bottom of both of our collective lists of time, right? Like we don't have time. So when I picked her, though, I was nervous because I know she doesn't like one-on-ones. She feels like they're kind of a waste of her time. Like, I'll tell you when I need something, and so I just don't want to meet with you for no reason, just to check the box. So I was a little bit worried about that. And another doubt that I had is just like, if I went to her and said, hey, I'm trying to learn something, will you be my guinea pig? Will you do this with me? I guess, will you dance with me? Aren't we all afraid of a little rejection, right? So I thought, well, what if she doesn't buy into this whole thing? What if she won't learn with me? And so lastly, I thought, if I change the check-ins to be from my way, like what's going on, what do we need to do, what are the deadlines, what problems do you have, and I changed it to something else, would we get the stuff done? Because we can talk about our feelings all day, but like we have a lot to do as well. So those were my doubts. I did complete the challenge. My person did accept my dance invitation and really did put her efforts into it, and I thought it was really great. As a result now, I can say that her and I are more connected. In fact, just a couple days ago, we maybe had a butting heads moment. And then today, when we had our check-in, we were right away able to come and say, okay, let's start with a win, and then let's start with maybe, something we have to work on. And we both had the same thing to work on. Like, okay, that didn't go so well. Here's how I showed up. This is what I really should have done or meant to do. And so that connection didn't happen before. It was all about work, and not really about either one of us as people. So more connected. And then she shared with me, like on week 2 or something, which I loved because it kind of kept me going, is that I've worked with her for 12 years. And she said, I feel your support, instead of me telling her that I support her, and if you make a mistake and I make decisions, instead she's like I feel that you do. And that was pretty cool. And so now we're several weeks out from the check-in challenge, and I feel like every time I meet with her, I am moving us slowly to the shared goal that we have, but it doesn't feel big to either one of us. And I thought it was going to be the opposite. I thought it had to be something monumental, that we'd be like, okay, now we're done and we're there. So lastly, if you were thinking about the check-in challenge and you might be like me, and I don't know if I have time. First of all, I think it's setting me apart from others, because I'm showing a different leadership style and my team is responding. So that's great for me and my organization. And then the other part, the check-in challenge is, to me, resonated because it's a very common sense approach. And that's how I am, like, say things in, easy to understand, real words, common sense approach. And people will respond to that. So that's why I enjoyed the check-in challenge, and I would recommend it for you or your team.
Thank you, Wendy. Thank you so much. And for anybody who's sitting there thinking, well, what again does the check-in challenge have to do with the book? So here's the connection. The check-in challenge was created to do step 2. Step 2 in the book. It's how to hold the frame. And so, like Wendy was saying, you pick the person that you want to do that with, and we walk through how to do it. And what's beautiful about it is you get to do it in your own way, in your own situation, in your own culture, in your own leadership style, in your own words. But while we do it, we help you become more aware of your habits and patterns. And that's step 1. And then step 2, how to create something repeatable that creates that open frame. And we do it in a really simple way, 1 hour a week for 6 weeks online, or in person if you do it differently. But yeah.
So I know in a moment we'll talk about, and I put some information in chat. I know we'll tell people about the next opportunity to do this, but I wanted to use my MC privilege here to grab the mic.
Yeah.
As a fellow author who knows how hard it is to get reviews. One, I applaud you for having 65 reviews being sent to you and 55 already on Amazon. That does not happen easily. But the goal wasn't 50 or 55. The goal is 100 plus or 200 plus, because a lot of people need to know about it. And I wanted to share why reviews are so important. So here's the thing. Yes, her book did hit #1 in a category and a #1 new release in several categories, but evidence of that goes away really quick. The orange ribbon is there and gone. What does stay on the book sales page on Amazon? Reviews. And reviews help future prospective readers decide, is this a credible book? Is this a book that would be valuable to me? Me specifically, like reading through the reviews, by writing reviews that say things like, here's the biggest takeaway I got from this book, or here's something I'm doing differently because of this book, or here's who I think should read this book. Specific kinds of people should read this book. People will read through those reviews and see themselves in those comments and think, oh yeah, this makes sense. I'm going to get this book. Here's the other reason. We all know AI has flooded the market with not the highest quality books. So it's really important that people understand that this is a quality book full of good content, actionable content. And you already heard from the people who've been using this information. Even before it was a book, it's been actionable content. So I want to just sort of implore you, if you haven't yet done so, to leave your review. In fact, to make it super easy, that is the direct link to the page where you would leave a review. So if you've already purchased the book, you can just click that link. It'll bring you right up, and you can go ahead and copy paste your review in. If you got that review from Stacey, she mentions it to you. If you haven't yet written one, go ahead and write a review. Those are the 3 things to answer. Biggest takeaway, something you're doing differently because of reading this book, and who would benefit from reading it. Let's get her to 100 plus reviews in the next few weeks. Absolutely has the potential to do that, and a great strong launch to start. But now I'd love for Stacey to come back and share with us a little bit about what's coming next. Like, what are the ways people can stay in touch? And you mentioned this this challenge. How can people get involved with that?
Yeah, thanks, Robbie. So if people want to join the challenge and start working through the framework, I just put seats for the next check-in challenge on the website yesterday. And so you can join the next check-in challenge and you can experience this dance framework for yourself. You can set up how to hold the frame in a small group of only 6 to 8 people. So you get tons of attention. And it's great to start from this step 2, actually, maybe a little counterintuitive thinking you should start with 1. We all have some parts of 1 already done in the work we've done. So if you start with 2 and you set up your framework, you can back up to 1 and you can go forward to 3 and 4. And it's very easy and it will take less energy and less time for you when we start you with step 2. So the next one's going to run probably late July, early August, but I need to know who's going to be in it because those people are going to set the dates and the times. So the first 6 to 8 people that sign up get to save their seat for the challenge. And I think Robbie's going to put the link in. And then if the summer doesn't work great for you, then sign up anyway, because I'm going to run another one probably in September, October, late September, early October. And I'll just pull from the same list and we'll run a second one. Now, these are the ones that people can come to from any organization. So whether it's you, whether it's someone you know who could benefit from this, it doesn't have to be everybody from the same company. I do this more as a way to bring together people who don't have as many people in their organizations who are ready for this kind of training and lab. But if you have an organization that has 6 to 8 people and you want to run your own, let me know that too, and we'll make it happen. Whether it's in person or whether it's virtual, because you can have your own cohort as well.
This is brilliant. So we're about to do some fun things. So before the top of the hour, first we're going to get started with a group photo. So if you're willing to be in a group photo, this is a time to turn on your camera, sit up a little taller in your chair, and find where the camera is. And I'm going to switch it on my screen so that I can see the gallery and see your amazing faces and take a picture. So if we were in person, I'd be telling you all to put your drinks down and get a little bit closer, but we're not. So sit up a little taller, find the camera, ready, 3, 2, 1, cheese. Well done. No one blinked. I love it. All right. So we're also going to do a gallery now. A spin the wheel. So before we spin new prizes, Stacey, I'll just bring you up here because you ran a fun little raffle where if people submitted their review by a certain date, they got put into a raffle to win something from you. First, tell them what was that whole bit about, and then what was the prize, and then let's talk about who won.
Absolutely. So if you were on the book launch team and you submitted your review by May 29th, you got in a drawing to have a session with me. That's whatever you want from the book, any concept, any step, anything. And we'll sit down and we'll have a one-on-one coaching around it and teaching around it and whatever you choose. So 20 people had their reviews in by May 29th, which was fabulous. And drum roll, please. The winner is Sarah Beck.
Yay.
Is Sarah here today?
I was looking and I don't think she's here at the moment. We'll have to let her know. But we are now going to turn over to a prize wheel. Everyone who registered as of basically this morning, I think is when I grabbed the list. So everyone who registered for this event by this morning is on this wheel. We're giving a couple of prizes away. I believe we're going to do 2 signed copies of your book, correct?
That's right.
All right. So what we'll do is we'll get your name and then she'll reach out after to collect your address. Let's spin this wheel. And the first one goes to, Steve Gabel.
Steve Gable.
Gable, yay. All right, fantastic. All right, remove Steve. And then we'll do another one. Ooh, Brad, you're so close. And Dave Wondra. Yay. All right. So we will coordinate getting the information that we need from them. So we'll have a little fun with that. Now it's really, we're going to kind of shift to Q&A. And as we move into Q&A, Stacey, I know that we asked people in the registration process if they had any questions. And we have one from Kevin who asked, how can you help someone's curiosity improve? Love it. Such an interesting
Right.
question. How, like, honestly, I'm curious how you get to a question like that. But how do you improve someone's curiosity?
You know, we see this all over the web, right? We see it in social media where they, or even Ted Lasso, just be curious, right? But how do you be curious? How do you get someone else to be curious? I think it's an awesome question, Kevin. I'd like to hear what you think, Kevin. We'll have to have a call and talk about it. But I think what keeps us from being curious, I think, is thinking we have to get someone somewhere. So if we think it's our job as a leader to take them from point A to point B, actually our job as a coach either, for those of you who are coaches on the line, when we're trying to get them somewhere, we can't be curious. We're too busy trying to make that happen. When we're trying to have a difficult conversation, this is the other place this happens a lot where we're not curious. We get so fixated on prepping our own little script to help them not blow up or not cry or whatever it is we're trying to get them not to do. We aren't being curious. So I think what I try to do and what I think I wrote about in the book is we need to put responsibility where it belongs. We need to have the partner we're dancing with execute the turn without trying to micromanage the turn. And we need to not just trust them to do the turn, because they could go all the way over to the other side of the ballroom, right? We actually need to have a clear signal and clear expectations about, is it a tight turn? Is it a full turn? Is it a half turn? What turn is this? So they know exactly what they're executing. And then we need to be right there to meet back up with them and link arms again and to have that feedback loop going. We can't just let them go across the dance floor. And when we do that and we have that information, I think curiosity can happen because that's the container that holds the frame. And then we can be curious. We don't have to worry so much about what they're doing and where they're going. It's all set up. We get to be the partner, not the boss. That's my take on it.
I love it. So here's the next question. I know a lot of people are asking you about sort of how, when, and where to get this book. And I just wanted to share a little bit about your process. So I am a book launch strategist. I'm a multi-passion entrepreneur. I wear a lot of different hats, virtual producer. And what we did was the date that your book launched was different than when it published. So it published actually right before Memorial Day. And then it launched, really the official launch date was like yesterday. And that was the goal. The goal was to get reviews up on Amazon in that time frame. But we weren't really directing people to Amazon during that most of that time because we really were working with the launch team in like a pre-launch or soft launch period. And now we've had the launch party. So I am here to tell you that you can start to just send people to both her website and to the Amazon page itself. And if you go to AuthenticEdge.com, at the top of that website is book. So simplest thing is just remember what her site is. If you want to also go directly to the Amazon page, you can. When you go to that book page, you'll find all the bonus content. So I do encourage you to go through the site because then you get access to the bonus content. And I would encourage anyone who you were sharing that with to do it. The good news is that if someone's reading the book, they'll see a link that will direct them to get the bonus content. So they'll still get access to that, because I do think that material is really, really important. I see a question coming in from Melanie. She says, if I follow the steps, how long does it take me to become an expert dancer? I love this analogy.
Now you'll never become an expert dancer. And that's the whole point. The whole point of these 4 steps is when we start there, in order for us to be able to figure out what step we might have skipped and why the further step isn't working. So if we're trying to take the lead and we're trying to stand up when someone says that negative joke, and we snap back at them or clap back at them, and we don't have a relationship built with them, step 3, or a calibration built or a habit for doing that, the room won't know what to do. Some people will think I'm being sarcastic. Some people will think that I'm being helpful. Some people will think I'm being a crusader, right? And it's chaos. So we need to do the steps beforehand. If we don't have that hold the frame piece, then the connecting doesn't work because there's not space to connect. We're trying to do it in the hallway with 90 million to-dos and all kinds of assumptions running. If we're not connecting as our healthy self, the frame doesn't work because we're micromanaging and we're doing all the coping skills. So they're in order because we need to figure out how to back up to what we need to make what we're doing as leaders successful. But the goal is never to get it right. The goal is never to get it to be the expert at it. The goal is to authentically find your own personal way of following the steps to regularly catch yourself when you go into a coping mechanism, because we're going to do it the rest of our lives. To regularly set up these habits of talking with people, because we're always going to have new people coming into our lives and our work, and connecting with people on a regular basis where we don't have to pull out icebreakers or do extra work to make that happen. And it brings this way of dancing regularly. It's like going to the social dance floor that we go to every day and being able to do this. And if we can get in the mindset that all it is dancing, having conversations is dancing, we don't worry so much about being an expert at it. We know that we can have a misstep and we're connected to that other person and we can go back and find a new step.
I love this
Question.
I love this. So you mentioned earlier that one of the wins of this launch was you were invited to do some speaking. Could you share a little bit more about the kinds of places or the audiences you hope to speak in front of?
Absolutely. So one of the places I just spoke a few weeks ago is the Speak Up Summit on psychological safety. It's a whole group of people across the planet who are working on psychological safety. I love conferences like that. I think whether it be related to coaching and leadership, women's leadership, the thing that I'm hearing about the dance metaphor from people, maybe even from some of you on the call, is that it seems to particularly resonate for women. Women don't necessarily love, and I think a lot of men too, don't love the war metaphors, the command and the control and or the sports metaphors. Those are all useful in their own way. But again, it's back to this leader being assertive, this more one-way kind of situation, or at least it can end up in that trap, right? And so I think it might be women's networking groups. One of the places that I've been invited to speak is at an organization, and they have a women's group of leaders that have a community practice. They have regular get-togethers. And so I'm going to be speaking at that. So that would be another great example of an opportunity.
So if someone wants to refer you, what are some key phrases or words or concerns or complaints or challenges they would be hearing from somebody where they would then say, oh, you need to meet Stacey. So if they hear this, they should introduce you. What's the this?
Right. If you hear people talking about that they want something different than the same old presentations, if they want something that will address common problems that people have in leadership, like having difficult conversations, having confidence as a leader, having their own personal style as a leader, and being able to interact with people who they don't necessarily dance well with right now, right? It's that whole idea of you can dance with any partner. If they're having trouble with a dance partner, I'm your gal. If they're having trouble with one-on-ones and being effective, I'm your gal. Also, I just feel like the idea of new and different. I don't think there's anything else like this out there right now. And I think it is a field of leadership and development right now that is very tired and repetitive. So if there's a company or a team or individuals that are interested in something to try that's new, and that will save them time and energy, this is it.
This is it. So what we're going to do now is we're going to move to more of an informal hangout with the author.